Man crates. Awesome gifts for men in real wooden crates, wrapped in a cocoon of duct tape, or housed in ammo cans that are virtually indestructible. Some gifts he'll get to assemble himself. Some gifts you'll beg him to share. And some gifts are sealed inside layers of rock-solid concrete. Gifts guys love, from grilling gear to old-school video games and more. Man crates. Awesome gifts for men.
Good morning. Hey, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Cam Rogers Show on this Wednesday morning, April 4th, 2018. Tyler in the comments section already saying, hey, you got to love that loyalty here in the program. We thank you for coming along for the ride. I've got you covered for the next hour with the latest details surrounding this blockbuster deal that went down yesterday afternoon, the Brandin Cooks trade. He's now a Los Angeles Ram. So all your latest NFL headlines and insight, as we always do, kick things off with here on the Cam Rogers Show. Here's the rundown for the rest of the program. At the bottom of the hour, a new segment, an over-under debate. Some questions surrounding over-under on certain amounts for LeBron James and NBA Finals titles left in his career. Tiger Woods, how many more major championships for him? So it's a very audience-centered segment where you guys are a part of the show more so than ever before. So we look forward to that. And then a look ahead to the Masters 2018 edition, the 82nd Masters Tournament. I'm going through the marquee groupings, including Tiger, Phil, Spieth, Sergio. And I'll tell you who will win the Masters Tournament come Sunday afternoon at the end of the program. Let's get into it. Brandin Cooks, here is the deal. He's now a Los Angeles Ram. The Rams receive Cooks and a 2018 fourth-round pick. The Patriots get the 23rd overall pick and a sixth-round pick, respectively, both in 2018. This, you could essentially assume means that the run for Odell Beckham Jr. is now over for the Rams at the least. The Rams now have a wide receiver core comprised of Cooks, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods. Pretty solid trio there. Cooks also joins newcomers Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, and Ndamukong Suh. If you want to pick a team that has won the offseason so far, the Los Angeles Rams are your frontrunners at this juncture. Now, I believe, and I've been saying this for many weeks, the Rams are headed for some serious heights in 2018. Already have a ferocious defensive interior with Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. An elite secondary, perhaps the best in the NFC, with Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, both new additions. LaMarcus Joyner getting that tag. John Johnson as a safety, a young player who had a really good year. And then Nickel Roby-Coleman there in the secondary as well. Really good back end for the Rams. Linebacking core leaves a little to be desired, but that's okay when you have such a good front four and a really good secondary. Rock solid offensive line for the Rams as well with Andrew Whitworth and John Sullivan. Jared Goff making big-time strides as a quarterback in the NFL. So don't forget how aggressive Les Snead is willing to be here in free agency. He may not be done with trades, with free agency signings, whatever the case may be, trading in the NFL draft. Who the heck knows what Les Snead is going to do? But I'm telling you one thing, the Rams are going to be a force in the NFC and the NFL as a whole. And so teams like the Vikings, the Saints, the Eagles, all better watch out for this team. And I recently released a pre-draft edition of my power rankings where I had the Rams at 3, just behind the Saints as well as the Eagles. I am now hard-pressed to move the Rams up to number 2, bump back the Saints to number 3, and keep the Eagles at number 1. So Cooks is set to make $8.5 million this season, and it'll be up to the Rams to find a way to hold on to him while also working on a new deal with AD as well, Aaron Donald. So according to Ian Rappaport, Brandin Cooks and Jared Goff have actually been working out together recently. So building this rapport already. And this isn't the first time the Rams actually tried to trade for Brandin Cooks. Reportedly, they wanted to make a deal with the Saints back when Brandin was playing in New Orleans. So a question for you. We have a reaction poll here. Are the Rams Super Bowl 53 favorites? Are you buying into this team? Hit me with that heart for a yes, a like for a no if you are watching on Facebook Live. If you are watching on YouTube, hit me up in the comments section with a heart or a like. I track all of your comments, and we certainly appreciate when you guys throw your thoughts in. Now, the Patriots side of things. They are reportedly moving up or looking to move up in the draft. They have 4 of the top 63 picks in the 2018 draft, which begs the question, are the Patriots stockpiling picks here to perhaps go out and grab a quarterback in that first round? According to one local Denver reporter, don't ask me why, it's a Denver reporter, by the way, the Patriots have interest in Josh Rosen. I have no idea how much credibility this has. This was a tweet that came out yesterday. The guy saying that he got a text and that the Patriots are interested in Rosen. But there you go. So that's kind of what I do here on the Cam Rogers Show. I report what I see and let you guys make the determinations in terms of how much credibility it really has. Now, this, for the Patriots, also fuels the Odell Beckham Jr. trade talks. Not so sure I'm going to buy into that either. But, you know, it's certainly a possibility here. I think the 49ers could step up and look into trading for Odell Beckham Jr. The Patriots certainly aren't out of the running, but I'm sure they want to see what they can get out of Philip Dorsett in more of a prominent role. Another report that came out from Rappaport, by the way, Brady is reportedly at peace with this move, not caught off guard, in fact, satisfied, thinking that Brandin Cooks maybe wasn't the best fit for the Patriots offense, and that Tom Brady is just fine with the services of Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe Cooks moving on isn't such a bad thing for the New England Patriots. Maybe there really isn't no clear winner in this deal, and the Patriots are better off without Brandin Cooks. But on the surface, on paper, the Rams are building themselves a very formidable team heading into the 2018 season. As you see there, the wide receivers with Cooks, Woods, and Cooper Kupp, a couple of young tight ends as well. And, oh yeah, the Offensive Player of the Year in Todd Gurley. All right, so that's the latest with Brandin Cooks as we continue along here with the headlines on the Cam Rogers Show, presented by Man Crates. Head on to mancrates.com to check out great gifts that guys love. Here's Baker Mayfield. So he recently visited with the Browns. In this report coming out a couple of days ago, Baker wrapped up a 2-day visit with Cleveland. Rosen, Allen, Darnold are up next as well. So GM John Dorsey obviously doing his homework, as he should. The Browns have essentially worked out all 4 of the top quarterbacks. Now they're going through the pre-draft visit type of deal here. Hugh Jackson alluded to how it's the last piece in the process in terms of scouting. So the Browns doing every inch they can to put themselves in a prime position to pick a quarterback that they really like. Now, the Browns have options, obviously. They select number 1 overall and number 4 overall. Whether or not there is real smoke and, shall we say, real fire to this whole Saquon Barkley number 1 overall type rumor here, it remains to be seen. But I do argue that the Browns are going to go with a quarterback at number 1. There's no way in heck they're going Saquon at number 1. Now, there's a possibility they go Saquon number 4, but the Browns are going with a quarterback at number 1 overall, and make no mistake about that. Unless there's some weird circumstance where the Browns, for some reason, value all 4 of these quarterbacks on an equal plateau, and that they would be just fine with selecting any of those 4 at number 4 overall. So what I'm saying is, the Browns value Baker, Allen, Rosen, and Darnold all equally and say to themselves, and John Dorsey says to himself in the mirror, I'm okay with selecting any of those 4 at number 4 overall. Let's go out and get a generational player in Saquon Barkley at number 1. Now, do I see that happening? No, but I'm posing this theory to you guys just to keep in the back of your mind. Now, you are rolling the dice with the Giants and the Jets right behind the Browns here, say if you go Saquon number 1 overall, because who knows what the Giants will do. They may steal Rosen, and the Jets may steal Sam Darnold at that point, where they didn't really expect Sam Darnold to fall to number 3. So something to keep in mind there in terms of Baker Mayfield and really the Browns selecting at number 1 overall in general. All right, let's get to the next headline here. Speaking of top quarterbacks, the Jets recently met with Josh Allen. So with the team trading up to the number 3 overall pick, we know what the Jets want to do. I don't think it's a secret to anybody out there. They want a quarterback. And they're doing their due diligence here. Apparently, they are very impressed with Baker Mayfield. I recently did a mock draft and had Josh Allen going to the Jets at number 3. I've been teetering back and forth in terms of Baker or Josh to the Jets. Josh Allen, to be more specific. And I'm kind of leaning back towards Baker for my full-on mock draft. We'll see what happens in terms of my research and my feelings here. But one thing is for sure. The first 4 picks of the draft will undoubtedly dictate the flow of this first round here. For example, if the Browns go Darnold, Giants go Barkley, that would give the Jets plenty to choose from. But if the Browns go Darnold and the Bills make a big-time move, trade up to get to number 2, get Mayfield or Allen, that could put the Jets in a bind and maybe even force themselves to go in the Josh Rosen route if they really like him. So it's something to kind of keep in mind there. Josh Allen recently visiting with the Jets. As you see, pre-draft visits, of course, are very critical in this whole process. So I'll continue to have more visit updates on the Cam Rogers Show throughout the month as we lead you up to the 2018 NFL Draft. Let's get to the next draft headline. Joshua Jackson recently visited with the Chicago Bears. This went down yesterday. The Miami Dolphins are next. One of the top cornerbacks in the draft, a kid I really like, tall, lean, physical, well-coached, coming out of Iowa, really a fantastic player. Now, despite my loving Jackson so much, I don't really love him to the Chicago Bears. I think they need to address that front 7. Edge rusher is a priority for sure, considering Pernell McPhee signed with the Redskins. The Bears did sign Aaron Lynch, but he's not all that great. You could look at inside linebacker as well, maybe get some depth there with Christian Jones moving on out. Now, the Dolphins would be an intriguing location because Xavier Howard stunk and Cordea Tankersley struggled in his rookie year. So the Dolphins also have need at linebacker. I like Joshua Jackson a lot more to the Dolphins rather than to the Bears. So we'll see what happens with Jackson. He's going through his process of meetings and all of that. All right, so that's the latest with Joshua. Let's get to the Odell Beckham Jr. trade talk. So according to Adam Schefter, who is recently on Ross Tucker's podcast, the trade talk with Odell Beckham Jr. is, quote, absolutely real. Now, Beckham is entering his final year of his contract, of course. He wants to get paid big time, and he wants that extension with the Giants before the 2018 season goes on. So we'll see what happens in terms of that. I mentioned that later in the month, there could be a decision between Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants. But Adam Schefter usually, when he says something, it's got pretty good backing to it. So the fact that he is saying that there is absolutely real talk with Odell Beckham Jr. and a potential trade, this is no shock to me. You look at what transpired during the owners' meetings, and it's kind of staggering. So we start things off with John Mara, the co-owner, condemning Odell Beckham Jr. for that leaked video of him surrounded by drugs in a hotel or whatever it was. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. But obviously a crazy statement made by the co-owner. Then GM Dave Gettleman has a 2-minute prepared statement for reporters saying he won't comment on the matter. You may remember that. And then there was this report that the Giants want 2 first-round picks and then maybe more. So all of this kind of culminating into one here, where it's just this very odd ordeal, where you have John Mara saying one thing, and then Dave Gettleman is like, look, I'm not talking about Odell at all. I want to talk about football, even though that's football related. And then the report that the Giants want 2 first-round picks, maybe more than that. You know, it's one of those deals that there's a lot of smoke to all of this. So Gettleman may think that trotting out Odell without an extension is an option. It's not an option. Odell Beckham Jr., according to reports, will not set foot on a football field unless he gets that extension. And let me be clear on this. Dave Gettleman, if you don't extend Odell Beckham Jr., you're going to have to trade him. Now, Dave Gettleman has made headlines before for his interesting moves. Of course, you may remember he rescinded the tag for Josh Norman back in Carolina. He's the guy that recently orchestrated the trade with JPP. This guy isn't afraid to make moves and be a little aggressive. So maybe he kind of channels his inner trade aggressiveness, if you will, and end up trading Odell Beckham Jr. Now, as I've mentioned, there have been some contenders in all of this. I've talked about the Rams, talked about the Seahawks. Obviously, the Rams, you can count them out now because they got their guy in Brandin Cooks, somebody they value a lot, by the way. Now, for the 49ers, this could be an interesting little tangle here. A little NFC West arms race, if you will, between the Rams and the 49ers trying to stockpile talent onto their team. With Odell Beckham Jr. perhaps going to San Francisco, you know, and the 49ers understand, and John Lynch probably understands, I got to make moves. I got to be aggressive. And, you know, to improve upon things and compete with the LA Rams, I got to go out and get Odell Beckham Jr. So the trade talk is really real here. So we'll see what happens. I have a reaction poll for you guys. Are you buying in to the Odell Beckham Jr. trade rumors? Hit me up in the reaction poll. Give me a heart for yes and a like for no. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit me up in the comments section. And, of course, I'll be tracking what you guys say. And, of course, this is a developing story. Things are going to change. And we'll see what happens with Odell Beckham Jr., but I'll tell you one thing. If he goes to San Francisco, there's going to be quite a battle in the NFC West between the 49ers and the LA Rams. All right, so that's the latest with Odell. Let's check in with the Buffalo Bills and the latest in terms of their prospects to perhaps go out and grab a quarterback. Now, reportedly, they are trying like hell to draft a quarterback highly. Brandin Beane is the GM there, as you see him on your screen. Now, Jason LaCanfora has chimed in on the matter, saying, quote, I'm convinced Brandin Beane will trade up twice more if he has to. He went on to say, it reminds me of Eagles general manager Howie Roseman a few years ago when he was moving up to land Carson Wentz. Now, the Bills have already shown ability to move on up in that draft because, of course, they traded away Cordy Glenn. Now they're at number 12 in terms of their higher pick in that first round. They also have a later pick in that first round. And I don't think they're done. And according to LaCanfora, they're not done either on his mind. So with the Browns, Jets, and Giants all potentially going quarterback, wouldn't be surprising to me to see the Bills trade. In fact, they probably feel like they have to, right? With the Jets moving up to 3, the Bills are probably going to have to figure out a way to be like, all right, we have to trade with the Giants now. Maybe the Giants aren't all sold on Josh Rosen. Maybe they want to get to number 2, and the Giants are okay with moving back. Now, you may know or maybe not know, Brandin Beane and Dave Gettleman used to work together in Carolina. Brandin Beane used to work underneath Gettleman with the Panthers. So you got that connection there. Maybe we could see some sort of trade there. What should the Bills do with quarterback in the draft? Who should they draft? Who's the best fit? Is it Lamar? Josh Allen? Maybe Baker Mayfield? Let me know in the comment section here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. And we certainly appreciate when you guys chime in here on the Cam Rogers Show. That's the latest with the Bills. Hey, the Cardinals signed a wide receiver. Let's take a look at this guy, Bryce Butler, now a member out there in the Big Toaster, former Dallas Cowboy, and obviously adding much-needed depth to the wide receiver group that features Larry Fitzgerald, J.J. Nelson, and that's really it. Now, Arizona lost Jerron Brown and John Brown to free agency. John Brown, of course, a member of my Baltimore Ravens now. So, you know, you got that. Butler was primarily, though, a role player for the Dallas Cowboys in 2017. Perhaps it's no coincidence, though. He had his best game with the Cowboys last year against the Arizona Cardinals when he had 2 receptions for 90 yards and 37-yard touchdown grab that helped him give the Cowboys a 21-14 lead in the fourth quarter. Dallas went on to win that game. So I guess that's all Arizona needed to see to buy into Bryce Butler. Now, the Cardinals, they're not done yet. Apparently, they have an offer on the table for Jordan Matthews. We'll get to that headline in a matter of moments. But Bryce Butler, now a member of the Arizona Cardinals. Let's check in with the Atlanta Falcons. I haven't really had much news on them recently, but Matt Ryan is reportedly close to an extension. GM Thomas Dimitrov went on a local sports radio and noted the Falcons and Matt Ryan are close. And Dimitrov, of course, acquired Ryan a decade ago with that 3rd overall pick, and it looks like Matty Ice is going to get paid pretty darn soon. Now, that franchise tender in 2019 ain't very cheap, $25 million around that amount. In 2020, it's going to be $31 million. So timing is everything. And you could make the argument that the Kirk Cousins deal has shifted the market for quarterbacks. Ryan's agent may want more than the $84 million that Kirk Cousins got over that 3-year span. So Matt Ryan is slated to make $76.4 million over the next 3 years if you want to kind of incorporate these tenders here for 2019 and 2020. So what the Ryan camp may do, along with the Falcons' leadership here, is to strike some sort of balance between $76 million and $84 million. So why is that? The 84, of course, the Kirk Cousins money. The $76 million would kind of be that baseline amount that Matt Ryan would make if he were tendered for the next 2 years. So there you go. Matt Ryan, ranking among, I'd say, top 10 among quarterbacks in the NFL. I put him in that conversation. But we have a weigh-in for you guys watching. Let me know, where does Matt Ryan rank among quarterbacks in the NFL? Certainly a question that I want to bring up to you guys because it seems like the quarterback market is shifting constantly. And if you have Kirk Cousins as the richest man at the position, and then Jimmy Garoppolo, and then Matt Stafford, and then Derek Carr, I mean, obviously you would not rank those 4 quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, 4. Nobody would. So with that, I want to know where you guys think Matt Ryan ranks among quarterbacks in the NFL, and we want you guys weighing in because you are part of the Cam Rogers Show just as much as I am. So be sure to let me know in the comments section. DeMarcus Ryan going to get all that money. I'm telling you, he will. Dimitrov says they're pretty darn close. I think they will strike that deal. I don't know if it's going to be Kirk Cousins type of money, but we'll see. All right, let's check in with another quarterback, my quarterback. Joe Flacco, set to get some extra work in with the wide receivers now in Baltimore. John Brown, Michael Crabtree, some new additions for the Ravens. John Harbaugh recently saying that he wants Flacco to put extra time in with these wideouts. Obviously, because of John Brown and Michael Crabtree, but also because Joe Flacco missed a lot of time in the offseason last year due to that back injury that he had. Missed the entire preseason, missed a good amount of camp as well. So with all that time missed, I think it really affected him in his performance in 2017, and who really knows if he was 100% healthy either. So Flacco, in terms of his history, typically hasn't worked with receivers on his own time, but coming from a Ravens fan, I argue that he should. The Ravens are heading into a make-or-break 2018, where I think Harbaugh's job is likely on the line. And if he doesn't perform, talking about Flacco, talking about Harbaugh, talking about many other people, a lot of the Ravens players could be on the chopping block. But in terms of the coaching staff, John Harbaugh especially, the Ravens are on a 3-year playoff drought. All right, and this is an organization that, enjoyed consistent success in the postseason, but at this juncture, haven't really had much of it. So the Ravens have been active trying to, bolster the weaponry there for Joe Flacco with Michael Crabtree and John Brown, and they still have Perriman, who, Ravens fans are still waiting on. They got Chris Moore as well. But for Joe Flacco and John Harbaugh, the heat is on. So Flacco set to get some extra work in with the receivers that he now has. Let's check in with a receiver. Eric Decker, reportedly interested in the Broncos. He talked about it recently on a local Denver sports radio station, actually with host Brandin Stokely. How about that? Saying that he would love a reunion and that the stars would essentially have to align for all that to happen, but Denver's very homely to him, would love to return. There's the quote, the stars have to kind of align for it to all work, but I'm very receptive to make it happen. The Broncos made Decker a third-round pick in 2010. He spent 4 years in Denver before signing with the Jets in free agency. In 4 years with the Broncos, Decker has 222 receptions, over 3,000 yards, and 33 touchdowns to his credit. Obviously not the same receiver he once was, but I think the Denver Broncos could bring him in on a cheaper kind of deal, and nobody hates a homecoming, right? Frank Gore heading on back to Miami. That was a nice little homecoming free agency signing for the Miami Dolphins. Maybe Decker goes back to Denver. So something to keep an eye on there. He's certainly open to the idea. All right, I talked about Jordan Matthews earlier. There is an offer on the table for him from the Arizona Cardinals. Apparently, Matthews isn't exactly jumping for joy on this because, well, he recently visited the Packers and the Patriots, and he's got a visit with the Titans upcoming as well. So maybe the Cardinals are kind of far down the Jordan Matthews priority list, but there you go. Arizona, desperate for wide receivers. They did sign Bryce Butler, but it's Larry Fitzgerald and Bryce Butler and J.J. Nelson. Doesn't exactly inspire a lot of confidence if you are Sam Bradford or Mike Glennon or whoever the quarterback is going to be for the Cardinals. So there's an offer on the table for Jordan Matthews. He's an okay receiver. Never really been a big Matthews fan. Maybe it's because he's burned me sometimes in fantasy football. Coming off an injury-plagued 2017 too. How about this, guys? Jordan Matthews went through 3 surgeries in 2017. Thumb surgery in October. In December, he underwent back surgery, he went through left knee surgery and right ankle surgery. This guy has been beaten and battered for years. So we'll see how much money he can actually get here. He caught only 25 passes for 282 yards and a touchdown in 10 games for the Buffalo Bills before going on injured reserve. So Jordan Matthews, he's got a market from one team at the very least. And perhaps the Titans could offer him something. Maybe the Patriots want to bring him in, especially after the Brandon Cooks departure via the trade. And maybe the Green Bay Packers give him an offer that Jordan Matthews can't refuse. So that's the latest with Matthews. Let's check in with a tight end now. Jordan Reed. Speaking of surgery and injuries, this guy has undergone toe surgery. Yes, Jay Gruden recently told the media on this that Reed went through a procedure on his toes, hoping that he can be 100% for camp. I don't know if I can full-on believe that because Jordan Reed has been often injured. He missed 10 games last season, but with a new quarterback in town in Alex Smith, I think getting on the page here is really important for Reed on that same token with Alex Smith coming on over from the Kansas City Chiefs via a trade. Now, from a fantasy perspective, keep this in mind. I know it's only April, but Reed could be a really sneaky tight end in fantasy football. Smith loved throwing to Travis Kelce. I'm going to assume he's going to love throwing to Jordan Reed. Now, the big-time caveat is the injury history there with Reed. But in such a shallow position like tight end, where it's Gronk, Kelce, and everybody else, maybe Graham, he kind of has a revamped season with the Packers, you know, you can kind of pick up Jordan Reed probably way late in your draft and be happy about it. So some solid value there for Jordan as I get on my fantasy football tangent. But he goes through toe surgery, and we'll see how he comes out of that one. Jay Gruden pretty confident that he'll be okay. All right, those are your latest NFL headlines here on the Cam Rogers Show, presented by Man Crates. Head on to mancrates.com. Check out the fantastic array of gifts that guys love. We're talking about crates, wooden, that come with a crowbar. You pry them open, and fantastic gifts inside: bacon, protein powder, customized barware, and so much more. Mancrates.com is the way to go. You're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live as well as YouTube. I'm Cam Rogers. Thanks so much for coming along for the ride on this Wednesday morning. A fun new segment that I want you guys to participate in. So get your fingers ready to type on the keyboard and hit me with those comments, because we're going to play a little game called Over Under. So I'm going to go through some various topics here, and I want you guys to let me know. Are you going with the over or are you going with the under? And we'll show your comments here on the broadcast. Let's start things off with LeBron James. How many more rings will he accumulate? The over-under set at 5. Now, the big question here for you guys in terms of titles for LeBron James. Where is he going to go next? And the over-under set at 0.5 here for LeBron James. Did I say 5 earlier? My mistake, folks. 0.5. 5 would be a ridiculous number. And so for LeBron, is he going to L.A.? Is he going to the 76ers? You know, you're going to have to weigh that as you kind of think about this here and throw your comments in the section below. LeBron, a 3-time champion, 2011, 2012, and 2016 MVP in all 3 of those NBA Finals, 4-time NBA MVP, hasn't won one since 2013. So let's think about the hypotheticals here. If he goes to the Houston Rockets, if you guys think he's going to Houston to play with Paul, to play with Harden, I'm hammering the over here. And so that's one way to look at it. If you think he's going to the Los Angeles Lakers, maybe you're thinking to yourself, all right, you got to have to kind of bank on Lonzo Ball developing, Brandon Ingram developing here. And there are a lot more uncertainty points here to kind of think about. And maybe you go with the under. No more titles for LeBron James because you think he's going to L.A. Or maybe you think he's going to the Knicks and it's going to be a big-time project with him. So it's one of those deals where, you know, it's a very tough question here. I'm going over. I think he at least wins one more NBA title. So I think, you know, he's going to be just fine wherever he goes. And I think the Houston Rockets is a very real possibility. A few weeks ago, I didn't think it would really happen. But now that I think about it more in terms of a financial perspective, it's actually pretty possible. So if LeBron wants to win right now and go to the Houston Rockets, it makes a lot of sense. So that's why I'm going with the over there on LeBron James. And, yeah, I don't think he goes to L.A. I don't think he goes to New York to play with the Knicks. So, you know, it's one of those things that you're going to have to weigh here as you make your comments, as you'll see some of the comments kind of flow at the bottom of your screen. Miller Rutherford going with the over on LeBron. He's buying into what I'm saying. Saw Mitchell Wren's comment as well. He's going with the over. As you can see at the bottom there, those are the comments that you guys are making in terms of what you think LeBron James is going to do. If he goes to Golden State, I see Tariq commenting there. Yeah, he'll go with the over. All right, I get that. I don't know if he's going to Golden State, though. I mean, that's a big-time question mark for me. So I got my broadcast on my laptop as well, so be sure to track what you guys say here. Raymond, over. Sitting going with the, or Sidian with the over here. William, under. Keith, Philadelphia, he thinks LeBron's going to the 76ers. So, Keith, are you going with the over on LeBron James and the titles? Here's the list of past results, just to kind of get you guys, get your brains flowing here. So, of course, lost to the Warriors in 5 games, then beat with the Warriors in 2016, 2015 lost to the Warriors, 2014 lost to the Spurs, beat the Spurs back in 2013. So, you know, something to kind of monitor there with LeBron James. And as you guys kind of think of your predictions, Tyler saying under. Keith chiming in with the comments. He's going with over. And, oh, we got an even prediction on 0.5. Very interesting there. All right, so there you go, LeBron James. How many more titles will he win? Appreciate you guys with those comments. We got another one for you. How many more NFL seasons for Tom Brady? All right, so the over-under is set at 2.5. He's 40 years old. He's going to be 41 when the season starts. 5-time Super Bowl champion, has been to a couple of more on top of that. Tom Brady has said before that he wants to play till age 50. So if you are buying into what Tom Brady has said, you're hammering the over in terms of Tom Brady playing more than 2.5 NFL seasons. Now, he just won the MVP and has played at a very high level of late. 2017, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 4,577 yards. One thing to keep in mind about Tom Brady here as you guys make your predictions. The Bill Belichick-Tom Brady duo, how much longer does that last? And I'm more looking at Belichick. When is the Belichick reign over for him? When does he retire? And when do the tensions get so high that he moves on? Because that's something to watch out for in terms of how much longer Tom Brady plays in the NFL. Maybe Brady wants to leave when Bill Belichick leaves. Maybe he doesn't want to be the quarterback when Josh McDaniels is the head coach. It's a possibility. I don't think it's 100% fact, but it's certainly interesting. So hit me up in the comments section here. Tyler, under 2 years. Tariq going with the under. Angus going with over 3 seasons. So some differential here in what the responses are. Tom Brady, I'm going over, guys. I think he plays at least 3 more years. I mean, when you win an MVP in 2017, you don't just stop after 2, right? Unless, you get hurt, which I'm not going to predict because that's just silly, or your play declines in a Peyton Manning kind of way where your arm just gets tired and you're just done. So I'm going over on Tom Brady there for 2.5 with the NFL seasons remaining for him. All right, Tom Brady, let me know in the comments section on Facebook as well as YouTube. All right, let's get to the next question here. How many more major championship victories for Tiger Woods? The over-under is set at 0.5. So do you think Tiger's going to win 0 majors the rest of his career or 1 or more? He hasn't won a major championship since the 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines when he beat Rocco Mediate in that 18-hole playoff. So I asked this question, of course, because the Masters is this week. Tiger Woods is one of the favorites to win at Augusta. Woods, a 4-time Masters champion. The guy knows how to navigate Augusta National. And so for Tiger here, I'm going over because I think he has a very real chance to be victorious at Augusta this week. I think he could very possibly win on Sunday afternoon, and then all of a sudden, I get paid out because I'm right. So that's something I'm kind of looking at with Tiger. Now, the other thing is this, the back. How much are you buying into his health at this point for Tiger? Do you think he's going to kind of go through yet another episode where he's on his knees, injured, and, he has to go through back surgery yet again? That's another thing to kind of think about here with Eldrick, Tiger Woods. So with Tiger, with the over-under set at 0.5, hammer, hammer, hammer that over, and hit me up in the reaction poll. So throw the comments in as well as throwing in the hearts and the likes in terms of what you think the future is for Tiger Woods. Raymond, over with Tiger Woods. Duran saying over. Canoe saying under. Unfortunately, his winning days are over, in my opinion. Let's see, what else we got? Oh, Betty Coyne chiming in. Tiger will win, but she wants Phil Mickelson to win this week. Betty, stay tuned in terms of my predictions for the Masters. Now, for Tiger, set at 0.5. Iron game is on point. Short game is really good right now. Like I said, he has a very real chance to contend this week at Augusta. All right, so there is the latest with Tiger. Hit me up in the comments section in your predictions. Let's go back to the basketball topics. How many more titles for the Big Four and the Golden State Warriors? So Steph, Draymond, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, how many more titles for them? All together on the Warriors. The over-under is set at 1.5. So do you think the Big Four for the Warriors will win essentially more than 1 title? All right, so that's what I want you guys to kind of hit me up about in the comments section. So, of course, they won the 2017 NBA Finals. They're all on the team for next season as well if you look at their contracts. So if you're thinking about this year, it's worth mentioning the Steph Curry MCL sprain. He is slated to return for the playoffs, but won't play in that first round, which I think is fine. That really doesn't really matter much, I don't think. In games in which Golden State has its other 3 All-Stars healthy, but not Steph Curry, the Warriors have gone 6-4, so that's their record there. Now, the Warriors, I think, shouldn't have any problem in this first round for this upcoming NBA playoffs. I really don't know what to make of the Eastern Conference. I don't. And I think it's going to be a dogfight between the Warriors and the Rockets, in that Western Conference, and then the NBA Finals is just eh. At least that's kind of what I'm seeing, and I think it could be a cakewalk for either Houston or Golden State, whoever gets to that Finals. All right, so let me know. What do you think? I'm tracking the comments here. We got Miller with the under, Raymond going with the over, Dusty saying after KD leaves, it's done. Alexander saying most likely under. Keep hitting me up. I'll be sure to call you guys out. You can see your comments scroll at the bottom of your screen there. And, we do appreciate when you guys participate on the Golden State Warriors, because very polarizing topic for NBA fans out there and sports fans in general. All right, so over-under set at 1.5 for titles with the Big Four on Golden State. All right, let's go to the NFL now. How many wins for the Dallas Cowboys in 2018? The over-under is set at 9.5. All right, so you think the Cowboys will win more than 9 games or 9 games or less? Let me know in the comments section, as well as the reaction poll that we have for you guys. The Cowboys went 9-7 in a year where Zeke Elliott got suspended for 6 games. Not so bad. So if you use that data, and also the fact that it seems as though they're going to keep Dez Bryant, and we'll see if he can kind of revamp his career a bit. But they also bring in Deontay Thompson, not a great receiver, but helps, and Allen Hurns, who I think could really thrive in the Dallas Cowboys system. A full 16 games, you can assume, from Zeke Elliott, an offensive line that, albeit, has seen its fair share of changes, and a new offensive line coach as well. Now, Cam Fleming coming on over. Maybe he'll play tackle, and you got Collins inside now, and I think that's kind of how it should go. So, assuming the full services of Zeke, I think the Cowboys certainly make it to 10-6, maybe even 11-5. Remember, this is a team that went 13-3 not too long ago, right? And competed very toughly in the playoffs. I have promised for Xavier Woods, Chidobe Awuzie, and Byron Jones as well in that back end. I like how that secondary is forming. They're young. They got a very high ceiling in my eyes. If they just get it right in terms of the lineup, there's certainly a possibility that the Cowboys could compete for a Super Bowl next year. As I also have a list of wins for the last few years for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's a little vary-ish, if you will. You got 9-7 last year. There's the 13-3 in 2016, 2015, 4-12, 2014, 12-4, 2013, 8-8. Now, the other question that you guys are going to have to think about here as you send in your predictions, as I'm tracking everybody. Marius saying under, Frederick going under, Tariq saying 16-0. Gotta love that. Is the Dez Bryant situation. Now, do you think he stays on the Dallas Cowboys, or do you think he gets cut before the season starts? If you think he gets cut, maybe you're going with the under here and saying to yourself, well, who's going to be our number 1 wide receiver? And if it's Allen Hurns / Deontay Thompson, maybe you're thinking 9 wins is the ceiling for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I have argued before that the Cowboys should cut Dez Bryant for a couple of reasons that I won't get into because I'll go off on a tangent on that, and we're on a time constraint. But that is kind of the X factor here in terms of the over-under on the 9.5 with the Dallas Cowboys. So Dez Bryant, the future of him, it's certainly something to kind of think about there. Tariq saying he stays. Mahdi says he stays. Tyler saying Dez leaves. See? It's a polarizing topic. All of you guys have your differentials and opinions here about Dez Bryant, but there you go. Over-under set at 9.5. Hope you guys enjoyed that little segment there. Andrew chiming in, saying 11-5 for the Dallas Cowboys. He's going over. Thanks for watching the show, Andrew. Appreciate it. You are watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live, presented by Man Crates. These are great gifts that guys love. Check them out, mancrates.com. Wooden crate full of gifts meant for dudes out there. Protein powder, as well as customized barware. You got golf gear and so much more. Man Crates, sponsoring the Cam Rogers Show here today. I'm Cam Rogers. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Hit me up with your feedback on the show if you want to see new segments on the program, let me know. I'd be sure to incorporate them in the hour that we have. All right, so you may have heard that the Masters is starting up tomorrow. Tiger, Phil, Spieth, Rory. Big-time tournament with a lot of premier players playing well. So let's take a look at the marquee groupings here. We'll start things off with a 10:42 Eastern Time tee-off here for tomorrow. Tiger, Marc Leishman, the Aussie. He has a top 10 finish here at Augusta, as well as Tommy Fleetwood, the Englishman, who's now a full-time player on the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods getting going just a shade before 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Set those alarms. You can stream his round on Masters.com as well. So if you're at work tomorrow, just tell your bosses that productivity is going to go down because you're watching Tiger Woods chase a green jacket for the 5th time. All right, so Tiger recently spoke to the media, and he actually had a practice round with one of his rivals, Phil Mickelson, and this kind of shook everybody up because these two used to not get along, but Tiger recently chimed in on how the relationship with Phil Mickelson has changed. Let's roll it.
I think Phil and I we've been through it for so long, and we've been together on these teams long enough, and then when I got hurt, and I had to take a different role on the teams, being assistant captain and really trying to help out the side however best I possibly could. Phil was great. He was trying to help me out when I was trying to make a comeback. My body wasn't feeling very good. How can I help? And our friendship has gotten stronger over the years. We've competed a lot of times coming down the stretch in events. We were joking today about some of the stuff that has transpired here. We've gone through it a long time, and better part of 20 years. Our friendship has certainly gotten a lot better, and I think it's just age as well. We're at the tail end of our careers, and we both know that. He's 47, I believe, and I'm 42, and we've had a great 20-year battle. Hopefully we'll have a few more, but we understand where we are in the game now versus when we were in our early 20s, battling for who's going to be number one, and that was then, and certainly this is now.
Two used to never get along, and now they're smiling and having fun in their practice round yesterday. So Tiger teeing off 10:42 Eastern Time tomorrow. All right, let's go to the next grouping here. And we've got Sergio, the defending champion, along with Justin Thomas, who has a chance to get to number 1 in the world, followed by an amateur, Doc Redman, a sophomore at Clemson. How about this kid playing with Justin Thomas and Sergio? He's going to have a lot of fun. That tee time, 10:53 Eastern Time tomorrow. Let's get to the next grouping here. How about this? Bubba, 2-time Masters champion, Henrik Stenson, former champion golfer of the year, winning the British Open, Jason Day. A sneaky one this week. This tee time, 11:04 Eastern Time tomorrow. Day won the Farmers Insurance Open earlier in the PGA Tour season. Not a lot of people talking about Day, but he has a pretty good course history here at Augusta. Henrik has yet to get a top 10 at the Masters. We'll see if he can change that up. And Bubba has been feast or famine of his Masters career, winning and really finishing outside the top 30. There really hasn't been anything in between there. All right, and then at 1:27 Eastern Time tomorrow, Phil Mickelson chasing yet another green jacket. You got Rickie Fowler as well. Matt Kuchar has been so consistent at this tournament. So I showed you a clip of Tiger Woods talking about his relationship with Phil Mickelson. Here is Phil Mickelson here, as we'll just change up that lower third there in preview and pull it on up here. Here's Phil Mickelson talking about Tiger.
I think the biggest point for us was when we came together, working together as one unit with other players to create a common goal or achieve a common goal of winning the Ryder Cup at Hazeltine, and the preparation of a year or so going into that event. We were talking almost daily there for quite a while, and I think that anytime you work together to achieve a common goal, it brings a certain unity and emotional connectedness. I don't know.
Connectedness.
Thank you. That we have felt, and it just brings you closer.
A part of me likes this, and a part of me doesn't like this. Like, I kind of enjoyed when Phil and Tiger hated each other, but there you go. Phil, Rickie, Matt Kuchar, tomorrow, 1:27 Eastern Time. That coverage will be on ESPN. All right, let's go to the next one here. Jordan Spieth, the 2015 Masters champion. Alex Noren, the Swede, playing really well. Had a big-time run at the WGC match play. And then there was Louis Oosthuizen, once a bridesmaid at the Masters when he lost to Bubba Watson a few years ago. So that tee time, 1:49 Eastern. All right, so those are the marquee groupings for the 2018 Masters. You're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I'm Cam Rogers. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Everybody chiming in about Tiger. Brandon thinking he has it. Deshaun saying hopefully to see Tiger Woods win it one more time. Deshaun, I'm previewing the Masters for you. I'm telling you, a sleeper, a bust, a lock for the top 10, and my projected champion come Sunday afternoon. Let's start things off with my sleeper candidate, Russell Henley. So if you guys are betting out there, playing daily fantasy, DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever the case may be, think about putting this kid in your lineups. Russell Henley coming in with great form, finished T8 at the Houston Open. Really solid history at Augusta as well. The one caveat is he has yet to get a top 10 in a major. I think that changes this week. He could very well finish inside the top 10 at Augusta. 28th on tour in terms of strokes gained approach. So his iron game is really solid, which is usually not the case for Russell Henley. He's more of a short game artist, but he's been really good with his irons. He's a winner on tour before, and a guy that everybody should probably think about as we get you set here for round one tomorrow. Here's the caveat in terms of Russell Henley. He's got a little baby swag going on. He has a baby due April 15th. It is April 4th. Now, I am not a doctor, and I am not an expert on this matter, and the baby could come within the next few days, I guess, right? Doesn't that make sense? If it's due the 15th, it could come early, right? So he might have to bounce at some point during the Masters, or maybe he just stays. I don't really know, but it's something to keep in mind there when you're building fantasy lineups and you're betting on Russell Henley. He does have a baby due, so something to keep in mind there. So Henley is my sleeper pick for the 2018 Masters. Now, a lock for a top 10 finish, Jordan Spieth, for a few reasons here. So first of all, a glorious Masters record. Outside of even winning it, a fantastic resume at that, has never finished worse than 11th at Augusta. His irons are fantastic. His approach game is on point. And I think his putter is really starting to catch fire now. Finished T6 at the Houston Open, and, you know, that's where he had a 6 under 66 in that final round, right? So, you know, Jordan Spieth all of a sudden building up this momentum where I think he's going to be a legit contender yet again at Augusta. Nobody was talking about him a few weeks ago because, you know, people were like, why isn't he winning? Why isn't he winning? Because we're just so used to that. But for Jordan here, all of a sudden, people are starting to pay attention, especially with last week and how he finished inside that top 10 at Houston. So I like Jordan a lock as a top 10 finish at the 2018 Masters Tournament. All right, how about a bust candidate? Somebody that maybe you're buying into, but you shouldn't. Bubba Watson. And it's not just because I hate Bubba, because he, like, whines to his caddy for missed yardages and all that. So Bubba, I've talked about this before on the show, kind of feast or famine with the Masters. Two-time champion, 2012, 2014, but he doesn't have a top 10 other than that. So he's finished outside the top 30 many a times in terms of his Masters appearances. And so as a bettor out there and a fantasy player, I'm not buying into that kind of risk. I want to be playing it fairly safe in terms of the top tier picks here. So Spieth, Tiger, the Phils of the world, those are safer picks than, say, Bubba Watson here. So, you know, perhaps you could point to he's driving the golf ball fantastically, but again, he's got a lot of risk to him, especially if you're playing daily fantasy this week, where he's going to be overly popular in terms of rosters and roster construction and what people are kind of doing here with Bubba Watson. People like to buy into Bubba because it's a fun name and all that stuff, You know, he whacks the ball like 330 on average. But I'm here to tell you this. He's not going to finish inside the top 10. He might not even finish inside the top 20. And at his price, in many daily fantasy games, the DraftKings, the FanDuels, all that, not worth the investment. It's all about ROI, and you're not getting good return on investment with Bubba Watson in my eyes. All right, so with that, who is going to win the 2018 Masters Tournament? My pick, Phil Mickelson. He's your champion. He is going to be the oldest Masters champion in history. At 47 years old, he's already won the green jacket 3 times. He won earlier this year at Mexico, a very elite field. He's 4th on tour in strokes gained approach. His irons are dialed in. He's 2nd on tour in putting. So you're telling me a 47-year-old on tour is 4th in iron game, 2nd with your putter, a 3-time Masters champion, and oh yeah, he won earlier this year at WGC Mexico. I'm in. I'm picking Phil Mickelson to win the 2018 Masters. Oh, by the way, he's 3rd on tour in birdies. So I know he has a tendency for the blow-up hole and all of that, but that's at like regular tour events, not among the Georgia Pines at Augusta National, because for some players, things just click when they roll up Magnolia Lane. You know, Angel Cabrera used to show up and contend. Tiger Woods, remember after the whole Thanksgiving scandal and all that, he came back to the Masters and he contended. Same could be said here with Phil Mickelson. So let me know who you think is going to win the 82nd Masters that kickstarts tomorrow morning. I'm going with Phil Mickelson. Outside of Tiger, nobody knows the Masters in this field quite like Mickelson, and he knows Augusta like the back of his hand. So in terms of the oldest Masters champion, you got to go back to 1986, when perhaps the greatest golfer ever, Jack Nicklaus, won at 46 years old. Phil Mickelson will be 47 when he wins. So here's a recap of my predictions. Sleeper, Russell Henley. Lock for a top 10 finish. I've got Jordan Spieth, a bust candidate. Do not buy into this guy. I don't like him at all. Bubba Watson, your projected winner. Phil Mickelson getting his 4th green jacket. The Masters kickstarts tomorrow, and it's going to be a fun one at that. Perhaps the greatest Masters we've ever seen. So we'll see what happens. You're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. We are presented by Man Crates. Head on to mancrates.com. Check out the fantastic array of products that they have. We're talking about great gifts that guys love. So wooden crates come with a crowbar. You pry it open. We got protein powder. You can customize your barware to your favorite NCAA team or NFL team, whatever the case may be. You got bacon crates, all of this stuff. Mancrates.com is the way to go. We have about a couple minutes left on the Cam Rogers Show. Let's pull up the marquee groupings one more time to get you set for the first round tomorrow at the Masters. Tiger Woods set to get going in the 10 o'clock Eastern hour with Marc Leishman and Tommy Fleetwood. So Tiger will play in the afternoon on Friday. That's usually how it goes. You play morning, afternoon, or afternoon, morning. 10:53, Sergio, Justin Thomas with a chance to become the #1 player in the world, and an amateur, Doc Redman, a sophomore out of Clemson, playing with 2 premier players. 11:04 Eastern Time. We got Bubba. Do not bet Bubba Watson, please. Henrik Stenson and Jason Day. Really good trio of players there, all with a chance to win the Masters, no doubt about it. Phil Mickelson, my projected champion, playing with Rickie Fowler and Matt Kuchar, 1:27 Eastern Time. And then your 2015 champion, Jordan Spieth, playing with Alex Noren and Louis Oosthuizen, who has played well at the Masters before. It is the greatest week in golf. Enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have more coverage on it on Friday, more NFL headlines as well. Thanks so much for participating in our Over-Under segment. For now, I'm Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99, and I'll see you Friday morning. Take care.